Okay, so I'm going to be talking about setting as well today. I'm going to go through 4 different examples of what I think are pretty good depictions of setting from stories in our textbook. So my first example is the story of the werewolf, which is fictional, by Angela Carter, which we've heard a lot about today as well. In this first line, you can see that she's simply describing like the inside of a house that these people are living in. But if you dig deeper, then you'll see that she's doing much more than that. The words I have highlighted in red sort of had a pretty deep negative connotation. Like there seem to be like charged within the words that are just spitting that these are probably negative things that she wants to talk about and depict. And also towards the end, in the first example, she gets real choppy in her sentences, which again add to the effect that these characters probably aren't enjoying the lives that they're living very much, and they're kind of harsh, brief, and poor. In the second example I have, the words lolloping and disconsolately are used really well to depict the werewolf in this case. She depicts the werewolf as much more helpless and much less menacing than one may think. And then finally, a writing professor at Griffith University, Nigel Carruth, explains that any good setting acts in a way that furthers the aims of the overall story. This means that what I depicted is maybe Angela Carter is setting up these characters to build them back up later on in the story. She's kind of knocking them down and depicting like that they're not living their best lives just to bring them back up later on. So my next story was At the Dam by Joan Didion, which is a creative nonfiction piece. I like the way that she throws a lot of information at the reader, and she gives a lot of concrete, significant details, but she still allows you to depict the setting in your own way. She walks a very fine line of using too many descriptors, and I believe she does it well. On the second example in particular, I like how she doesn't include like the color of the rock or mention the sound of sense or touch because it's not significant to what she's trying to depict. She's trying to depict this place as barren and vacant, and she does a very good job of this. Lisa Roney, an award-winning professor at the University of Florida, she writes on how hard it can be to walk that fine line of using too many descriptors. She goes on to write later on in the piece that I read that it's hard to choose what to leave in and what to take out, and I believe that Angela Carter does a very good job of it in her story At the Dam. The next piece I want to talk about is a story by Donald Bartholomew called The School. It's a fictional piece. He uses the setting to depict a very cold and depressing environment. He uses terribly awful occurrences that happen throughout the story to really just create this constant mood. And I like how he gives the setting, like he creates a character from it that helps depict the mood of the story. Yeah, he really gives the setting almost its own character. And my last piece was Standing By, which is a creative nonfiction piece by David Sedaris. In this story, he exposes the uncomfortableness and confusion of being in an extremely public place, such as an airport. The woman winced in front of me. It's kind of like saying that she wants to say something, but she doesn't feel that it's appropriate in this time or place. There's a mutual feeling between the narrator and this woman, but neither of them really go on to say anything, which I think he uses the uncomfortableness to his advantage in this example. And then in the second example here, he's jogging towards the connection, which obviously shows that he's in a rush and probably disoriented and just doesn't have his wits about him. Again, and then he hears something extremely peculiar that of course can never happen, in the fact that he heard Adolf Hitler pick up a white courtesy phone. It spews being nervous and comfortable and irrational, and I think just the way that he uses this public place and the confusion to his advantage works really well for him. And that's all I got. Thank you for listening to me today.